No, no sound. Mm. Still no sound, Ron. Ruvain, put your sound on. You're muted.
Okay, Harvey.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Serious, you have such a breadth of knowledge. Your Rebbe was wrong.
No, my Rebbe didn't know Tanakh. It was tomorrow.
Marty. Throw a Band-Aid in here.
I don't know, you'll have to open it up.
First aid kit probably has a Band-Aid in it. That's what you're looking for, huh?
Should have. Steve, I think, no, has she,
There's a room for me.
what?
Tell me where there's room.
Well, has she
Oh,
sometimes,
so here, you could take Ruvain's seat.
yeah, he's not here today. Oh, yeah. All right, Lee doing any better, I hope?
Much better.
Good.
Much better. You know,
The four Shleimer. I know that she was supposed to be in charge of all the business for tomorrow.
yeah, well, she gave it out. So a lot of people, all her committee stepped up and
Good,
took over a lot of things,
that's important.
including her spouse.
Okay. Very good. Yes, Shakara.
All right, it'll work out.
Yep, very good. Okay, now let me see if, I don't know if Ruven, sometimes Ruven gets it when he doesn't
Yeah,
make
when
it.
it's not coming.
He was on this before, and
Yeah.
I told him his sound was off. And when he did that, he went off for some reason.
So
Okay,
maybe he'll try to get on again, yeah.
So Ruvain is alive and well.
I would hope so.
No, I mean, he zoomed. So
Yeah.
if he's zooming around, he's got to be pretty good shape.
Okay, so we'll say maybe, okay. It takes a few minutes for me to get it set up and going, that's why.
Like, you want to, you wrote down all the information?
Yeah.
Take it and do it.
Yeah, okay.
Theoretically, we're learning and going for CRS.
Okay. Amen.
Homeman,
Yeah.
does he do women too? It's only two men.
No, it does. I'm sure. Today is Wednesday. Koftet, okay. Yeah. I'm going to start with the learning sponsors and then we'll go into the Gemara. Okay, year of learning by the many friends of Stephen Vigdor, B'zechen Nishmat Simcha Melech B'mei Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Isaac and Evelyn Blachor, in memory of his sister, Chaya Rachel Bas Isser. Friends of Leonie Meiselman and Leah Sabra Bat Chanok Zunder. A month of learning by Charlie Gelfenstein, in memory of his mother, Dacia Gil Bas Meir Halevi, and his father, Meir Ben Yaakov. Chaim and Phyllis Reese, in memory of his father, Mordechai Ben Yom Tov Lipa. Isaac and Evelyn Blachor, again, in memory of his mother, Sisu Bat Chaim Yitzchak. Friends of Milton Meller, in honor of his second bar mitzvah. A week of learning by Susan Fruchter Kramer, in memory of her late husband, Rav Shmuel Aaron Ben Ephraim Fisher. Shoshana Berger, in memory of her father, Tzvi Ben Shraga Dov HaKohen. And that is it for today. Shamas Heaven Aliyah, Crank Rafia Veldi Yeshiva Shema Tliya, L'chol B'nai Yisrael, a good Gaben Shjah. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. That's what the Gemara raised as a challenge.
What do we say as part of my How do you work with it?
If you intend to do
Excuse me, are you Rabbi Green?
It's all right. It's my Baal Tosafot too.
Miturgam.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. All right. Okay, let's just go back. No, I'm not ignoring it. I have to get back into, I got a lot going on and when I'm in the Gemara, I'm in the Gemara, but when I'm not, I got to get back into it. Okay. Okay. All right, I want us to go back to Kafchet Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Okay. All right. Okay, right. Okay. Okay. So the Gemara then said Ulalam. Okay. In other words, what's with these saplings, right? Amar Bar Pada, says Bar Pada, Pada'an Chozrot V'Kodshot, Pada'an Chozrot V'Kodshot. So Bar Pada is claiming that what is the situation with these saplings? Okay, that one redeems them, okay, and then comes back and consecrates them again. Chozrot.
One can redeem them as many times as he likes.
Yeah, well, I'm
never
just
lose their kedusha. The pidyon doesn't work because his initial statement was they should be sanctified until they're cut.
Until they're cut.
So that means he wants continual sanctification, and all the pidyon in the world doesn't have.
Not the pshat that I read. Okay, pshat says Pad'an Chozrot V'Kodshot.
Then you become Kodesh again.
Again, they become Kodesh
Not
again.
by his making them. They are intrinsically
They
Kodesh.
continue
Correct.
to come.
To remain Kodesh.
Right, they
despite
continue.
the pidyon.
Right. In other words, it happens that they're redeemed, then they continue to be Kodesh, redeemed, continue to be Kodesh. Okay? That's what it's saying. Pad'an v'chozrot v'kodshot. That's what it's saying. Ad sheyiktzetzu. Until they then become felled, until they're cut down. Okay? Niktzetzu. once they're cut down, podan pamechad v'dio.
You just buy
Okay.
them once and
Okay, then you redeem them and they become, and that's it. Okay, and the question we came up there, Heshi had asked that about fruit trees, habriut. We said no, maybe it was just for the wood. Okay,
But that actually is a contradiction internally.
yeah,
Because until cutting down, they cannot be paid. That means automatically. it should be.
right.
But he says you have to be
Right.
paid that anyway.
So now we come back. Ula Amar, Ula is going to give an alternative, okay, explanation. Kevan sheniktzatzu shuv ein podin. That it's not necessary to redeem them because one, he said, up till the time that they're chopped down or felled, once they're felled, okay, there is no longer a requirement to have to, because at that point, the period of their consecration is terminated.
No longer concentrated.
No
Consecrated.
longer concentrated.
Consecrated. Okay. All right. Now we go to today's daf, which is Kaftek. And we begin with a challenge to Ula's explanation. Okay, that's why I wanted to go back. All right. Amarle Rav Himnuna. So Rav Himnuna is challenging him. Okay, and notice just real quick Rashi's comment there. Le'olam hayach yotz'in lechulin below p'diyah is how is it anyway, right? So the Gemara is so Rab Hamnuna is saying kedusha shebahen hech lahechan halcha. Okay, if you're saying that they have retained their hekdesh status up to the time that they're felled, where does that hekdesh status go? How is it removed without any clear pidyon accomplishment? Okay. Ma uma ilu amar leisha. And what about a situation where, okay, like the following case, all right, where a man says to a woman, Hayom at ishti, today you are my wife, ulamachar at ishti, and tomorrow you're not my wife. Okay, we heard of the old television show Queen for a Day. This is wife for a day.
For the one night stand.
Okay, all right. Okay, me nafka below get. Is it possible that she goes out from that marriage without a document, a get? In other words, there has to be some act to terminate the status. So likewise, with regards to the saplings that have been made hekdesh, there needs to be some act, right, to remove it from its status. That's the parallel question that Rav Himnuna is challenging. Now, Rava comes along and he tries to give an explanation. Amarle Rava, so Rava responds, Mi kamidamet kedushat damim l'kedushat haguf. Is it possible that we can compare a situation of monetary sanctity, namely that of the saplings, with personal sanctity, human sanctity in this case, right? With the sanctity of the body of the.
Because even a behemoth.
Yes, we're going to get to that shortly. Okay, but don't consider the woman the behemoth.
That was my point.
I know. Okay. Okay. So in other words, how can we say? Remember if it's the wood of the tree that we're talking about, wood of the saplings. Okay, that's basically a monetary sanctity, right? Kedushat damim pak'a bichdi. He's arguing, says Rava, that the monetary sanctity absolves on its own, okay, without nothing, without an act, okay? Kedushat haguf lo pak'a bichdi, but sanctity of an object, okay, of the, right, lo pak'a bichdi does not does not go away on its own. Okay, Now, Abaye is going to challenge. Amar le Abaye, back to Rava. Okay, Kedushat Haguf lo paka bichdi. You're saying that sanctity of the object, okay, does not limit, that does not go away on its own. Vahatanya, but aren't we taught elsewhere in another text? Okay, with the following: Shor zeh, okay, and somebody is dedicating an ox towards a kind of offering. Ola kol shloshim yom, okay, is going to be a ola for 30 days. And they're designating it at that moment. Okay, ulachar shloshim yom, and after the 30 days of its ola status, shlamim, it then is going to become a shlamim. That's the vow that he's making towards this animal. Kol shloshim yom ola, okay, for the entire 30 days, this shore is considered a object for an olah. La'achar shloshim yom shlamim. After the 30 days, okay,
It's a lower level.
okay, yes, it becomes a shlamim. So in other words, so it is descending in its status because olah is kadshe kadoshim and shlamim is only a.
How do you make it go lower than the?
Let's see if the Gemara is going to address it. Okay, and then and then after that it's going to a lower status because shlamim is only kachim kali, right?
I know that.
I know you know that. You're a Kohen. Okay.
Instead of going higher.
Let's see if the Gemara is going to
That's
deal
his
with it.
riot that Kedusha could go
Okay,
away.
so in other words, what he's saying is by going from a higher Kedusha to a lower Kedusha, that is his Abaye's argument that we do see with an example of Kedusha Saguf, that it can be withdrawn on its own. That's his argument. Let's see if the Gemara is going to accept it or not, or if Rav is going to come back and challenge it. Okay, all right. So what happens? Amai. Well, how is that possible? Says the Gemara, Kedushas Haguf Ninhu Upaka Bichdei. We're saying that the sanctity of the object itself, and then it becomes, it exempts, it redeems on its own. Hachabamayas Kinan. What are we talking about there? Da'amar lidmei, because Rabbah is telling us, no, the argument is he's giving was that the ox was only sanctified for its monetary value and not for its value as a real korban. Okay? Well, most of the time. Okay.
Not in terms of Kedusha. It's not
I
so.
know.
What does
Okay.
that mean? If they want a korban, then they don't use the ox, they just buy
no.
one.
Okay. In
No,
other
no,
words,
he's saying this
if he-
ox is worth $500.
okay. In other words,
So I'm gonna donate, I'm gonna
Donate
use that $500.
the value of
ox
that
as
animal,
a korban.
and that's what he's saying. So he
he's
would,
only
he would
giving
then have to get a different animal. You're right.
No, you can use that.
He
animal.
could still, but by saying
He's
it's monetary
simply- he's
value, he
intentionally
could use that
avoiding giving
money
it
for,
to Kedusha
for another
Saguf.
animal as well.
He would have
He-
to sell that out.
Yes, right. Okay, but the point is, if its value is only for monetary value, he could, if he wants to use it for a real korban, yes, he would use that animal. But if that's not his intention, it's only the value, then he could sell the animal, buy another animal and use that. Okay, ihachi ema seifa. If that's the case, I would say, look at the end of the text, where it says, La'achar shloshim yom, ola, umeachshav shlamim. Okay, you're saying at the end of our text, said that it was after 30 days of being an olah it would suddenly become a shlomim. Okay?
No.
Iyamart
no, it's the other
b'shleim.
way around. He's making a different vow.
Okay,
For the
so what
next
is he
month,
saying?
It's a shlomim,
Okay.
and if I don't.
Whoa,
get
whoa,
it-
whoa, whoa, hold on. Okay, so he's saying, I would say, look at the end, the way it's phrased. It's phrased after 30 days, the olah, okay?
It'll become an olah.
Okay, and then become a shlomim,
No.
okay?
No, you
Umeachshav,
Here is my
After-
goal, okay? In 30 days, if it hasn't otherwise been disposed of, it will become an olah. In the meantime, for the next.
he
30
doesn't say
days,
ad
that's exactly-
shloshim yom.
La'acher shloshim yom.
Right, after 30 days,
olah.
it is an
It'll be
olah, right?
U'miachshav,
And
but
then from then
no.
on,
Miachshav, from this moment on, it's a shlomim. So for the next 30 days, it's a shlomim.
oh,
and on the
so you're
31st
arguing
day,
that it's 30 days shlomim first,
And
and
then
then
it
olah.
automatically becomes an olah. That's his formula.
Why
okay?
is it 30 days and not 14 days or 60 days?
Doesn't matter.
Because they said 30
Why?
days. Because it took 30 days.
Okay,
to get the-
because he said after the 30 days, it's an olah, umeachshav shlomim, and now it's a shlomim. Okay, so that argument is that he's making the shlomim first, and then 30 days, it's an olah. So
now
in
it-
that situation, it's going from the lesser kedusha to the higher
So it's
kedusha.
obvious you're talking about Kedushas HaGuf.
Okay, so in that situation, the argument is then you can't be talking about saying that the ox was for financial value. You're talking about Kedushas HaGuf and using that ox clearly as the korban. Okay, in that situation.
Now you have-
All right, Iyamart b'shleim. Okay, so in other words, the implication seems to be either are we talking about two separate aspects of kedusha, kedushas mamon, that the same animal on the one hand could be argued kedushas mamon or kedushas guf, or are you saying that's not the case?
That's illogical.
Okay, that's not the issue. So the Gemara continues. Iyamart b'shleima, if you're going to say chada b'kedushas haguf, okay, that the one animal has its singular
The safer
status,
Kedushas
that's
HaGuf.
what it's talking about, kedushas haguf, v'chada b'kedushas dami. And in one, okay, we're talking about monetary sanctity, right? That's the case. All right, in one, okay, the one section of the bright, Hainu de itztarich le letana lemisna tarte.
That's why you need.
Then it's necessary to be able to teach it as referring to two different kinds of kedusha. Okay, that's the point. The salkadatach, because I could have thought to say, amina kedusha saguf. Lo paka bichde. I would have thought then to say that regarding Kedushas HaGuf, it does not leave on its own. Kedushas Damim paka bichde. But I'm going to put in here, Kedushas Damim, when it's in a situation of monetary sanctity, that could leave on its own. Amtu. And therefore, lahachi tana tarte. And for that reason, that's why Rava taught it as two different situations. Okay? Ella, rather, iyamart, if you're going to say, idi ve'idi ktushas dami, that both this and this deal with kedushas dami, lama li lamitna tarte. Why then did Rava have to suggest that there were two different circumstances, two different situations? Okay, all right. Hashta. Now he says,
So he's giving a possible explanation.
okay. Yesh lomar mikadusha chamura mikadusha kala hak'ah. Maybe you might say, and this comes back to what Sid was asking about, right, Sid? Maybe when we're saying the transfer from a higher level or a more stringent level of Kedusha to a easier, lesser level of Kedusha,
What does he want?
you wanted to know if it's an Ola, can he take it out of the
You
basement?
can't take any korban. Doesn't matter what, if it's a,
I can eat all of them. Oila, you don't eat. What do you say?
Ola, he can't take it. Okay?
you can't take it. After it's shechted and after it's spritzed, you can take it
Yeah.
out with
Of course I'm
certain
talking about you
korban.
can't eat it until it's shafted.
Right.
Prior to that,
Right. So you can't take out. All right. So what happens? Okay. Maybe in that situation, we might say, and I'm surprised that it did not have the word paka michdi here, but but nevertheless, that's the implication. Okay. Mikdusha kala, mikdusha chamura, tzricha. Okay. But in that situation, where you're going from a lesser or a less stringent saying to a higher stringent, that yes, we need, it must be said. Tzricha lamema. Okay, so that's the issue. Is there a question? Do we have to spell this out?
That's
Okay,
obvious. If you can go down, then it's obvious you can also go up.
that's what he says, that you have to say it. Okay,
go down, but you go up again. That's the question.
no. Lema, so let us say, tiyufta de bar pada. So in that case, it could be considered not only a refutation to Rava about two kedushas, but it's also a refutation to Bar Pada, who we saw before, argued, right,
The Kedusha
that the continues is right. That's the point. Okay. All right, let's go on. Amarlach Bar Pada. So it's possible that Bar Pada would answer the following. Hachi ka'amar. This is what I was saying. Im lo amar me achshav shlomim la'achar shloshim yom ola have. If he had not phrased it, that the animal was becoming initially at that time, lechatchila, a shlamim, and then afterwards, 30 days later, the ola, midei dahava, ha'omer le'isha, hitkachili le'achar shloshim yom, okay, then in that case, it would be like the situation where he says to the woman,
Take the
take
money
the-
now.
take this money that I'm using for Kiddushin now, okay, right? And after 30 days, okay, we will then be
Now, the
married.
Nisuyin will be
Okay.
30 days. from
Now,
today.
it says, and the Mishnah says, the afal pi shenit aklu hamaot, even though it's possible that that money was used up already within that 30-day period.
Take the money.
Nevertheless, because the money was initially given to her for the purpose of Kiddushin and defined as to be done at the end of the 30 days, that 30-day Kiddushin is still valid.
What?
He meant he was
gives
he
her
was
money.
betrothing her through money, the same way like, initially he
still
could
do.
betroth her. Yes, so could betroth her through a document, right? Remember, initially you could do shtar, kesef, bia.
Yeah, but
You
you
could-
can't do Bia and postpone it.
Okay, glad the lady isn't here. Okay. Okay, so that's Jacob. So that's the point. Okay. The Oraita, any three of those methods was a valid Kiddushin. It was the rabbis who put them all together and say you had to do all three of them. Okay. All right. So that's the point. So in other words, that's still, then that would be a parallel situation.
Of making the thing Kodesh.
Okay, of saying I made the animal the lowest sanctity first and then the highest sanctity later after 30 days. So then that would be the appropriate parallel to that situation. Okay? Pshita, that's,
30 days, pose any significance?
Yeah, then they're in it, that's when the Nisuyin is.
that's, okay. Maybe he needed the 30 days to get more money to be able to pay for the dinner. Okay, pay the caterer. I don't know. Okay. Pshita, that's obvious. Lo tzricha. Okay. No, it's still needed. Why? Dahadarbe. Why? Because he retracted his Ola designation. Ha necha. That's acceptable. Lamanda Amar Eina Chozeret. Okay. Who says that, right? That it doesn't continue. Ela Lamanda Amar Chozeret.
Well,
Okay.
this is it.
Okay.
What happens if he changes his mind during the 30 days?
Yeah.
No, she changes her
No,
mind.
no. We're
No.
talking about the book.
If he takes, okay, takes it back. Okay, my ikalamema. What happens then? Okay. Va'afilu lamanda amar hati. And even one who says with the example of the marriage, chozeret, okay, that he might change his mind in that
She
30
can change.
days.
No, he's locked in by giving her the money. If during the 30 days she has barata, that's the question on the table. Since at this moment they're not married,
Right.
and since she needs to give consent, what happens if she withdraws her initial consent? That's the question on the table.
But if she spent the money already,
It doesn't
All
matter.
right. No.
It's
give woman
oiskefaf and a
money to
gelt.
spend.
Okay, hachashani. He says here it's different. Why? The amrito legavoa k'masirato lehedya. Right. So the Gemara is telling us why? Because once he makes that vow, legavoa, okay, in other words, designating that animal as a korban, okay, particularly ola, but even as a shlomi, okay, but nevertheless, k'masirat tola, it's as if similar to handing it over in a bill of sale situation, right? So what happens? We'll go a little bit further. Yativ Rabbi Avin v'Rav Yitzchak bar Kim, right? Bar Kame the Rabbi Yirmiyah. So Rabbi Avin and Rabbi Yitzchak Berebi were sitting before Rabbi Yirmiyah. And what was Rabbi Yirmiyah doing? V'kam menamne Rabbi Yirmiyah. He was dozing a little bit, Rabbi Yirmiyah. Yadve v'ka'amre. They sat and they were discussing the following.
What we just learned.
Okay, lebar pada. Okay, regarding the statement of bar pada that we saw, okay, previously, the amar padyan chozrot v'kodshot. Okay, who argues then that their sapling status, okay, would be continuing, right, in terms of kedusha.
And you can't lift it.
Right? Tifshot, the by Rav Oshaya. Okay. All right. Let him resolve this in regards to the view of Rabbi Oshaya. Namely, Hanotain Shte Prutot, the Isha, Va'amar La. He gives 2 prutot to a woman and says to her, Biachat itkadshi li hayom, ubeachat itkadshi li la'achar she'egar she'egar. With one.
It's a practical man.
With one, I betroth you to now, and the other one, I will betroth you after I divorce you. I'll betroth you again.
She should give him back his 2 cents.
Okay. Okay, right, I'm going to stop here. Hachanami dahave kedusha.
We have to hold that in head.
Okay, here too, this would be considered a valid kedusha, and we'll stop
The
right.
question is the second one.
That's right. Okay, does the second marriage take effect?
Right.
That
and he
is-
gives her the get.
That is
So
our,
here we have the one night marriage, the ongoing marriage, and you can't possibly divorce her because you're locked in anyway, marriage.
Okay,
Thank you, Rabbi.
Come on, this is my, you got it. This is a good Gemara. First of all, it flows very naturally.
I would say
Yeah.
that, let's give it some thought. Let me give it some thought. Yeah.
Use some machshava. No. The answer to the question is yes. Because by the Dorim,